Today, during this video, I will cover the Chapter 11, Muscle Strength and Resistance Training for Health and Athletes. There are three properties of muscle tissue: contractility, irritability, and conductivity. Contractility is the ability of muscle cells to forcefully shorten, so muscles can only pull, never push. Irritability is the ability to receive and respond to stimuli. Conductivity is a muscle has the ability to conduct an action potential. Phases of muscle twitch is divided into three phases. First, the latent period. Second, the contraction period. Third, the relaxation period. The latent period is the time from when the stimulus is delivered to the first indication of contraction in the muscle. The contraction period, or contraction time, is the time it takes the muscle to reach its peak contraction after the latent period. The relaxation period is the time the muscle takes to return to resting tension after reaching its peak contraction. Summation of twitches and tetanus. Summation. If a skeletal muscle is stimulated and a second stimulus is applied before relaxation is complete, a second contraction, which develops a greater tension, is fused to the first contraction. Tetanus. If the stimulus is repeated at enough high rate, the muscle will not relax between each stimulus, but rather will remain in a contracted state. The twitch response of a muscle contraction. A twitch is muscle contraction that occurs in response to a single, rapid stimulus that evokes a single, isolated action potential in a muscle fiber. Temperature and muscle contraction. Heating a muscle is more rapid, muscle contraction and relaxation. Cooling a muscle is a slower contraction and relaxation. Joint angle affect force production. Although muscles produce linear forces, motions at joints are all rotary. The rotary torque is the product of the linear force and the moment arm, or mechanical advantage of the muscle about the joint center of the rotation. A good example of such a joint is the elbow. Relationships between tension muscle length. The amount of muscle length change that occurs as a joint rotates is very strongly dependent on the muscle's moment arm, the perpendicular distance from the muscular insertion to the axis of joint rotation. There are 5 different types of muscle actions: isometric, dynamic constant external resistance, isokinetic, concentric, and eccentric. Isometric is a type of strength training in which the joint angle and muscle length don't change during contraction, is pushing against a stable object. Arm wrestling. Dynamic constant external resistance is a self-resistance exercise method. Example of dynamic constant external resistance is a resistance training and powerlifting. Isokinetic is a type of strength training in which specialized machines or dynamometers maintain a constant speed of movement. Example, isokinetic is used in rehab. Concentric is a contraction that shortens a muscle, while eccentric exercise is a contraction that lengthens the muscle. That all makes it sound more complicated than it is. Example of concentric is biceps curl. Eccentric is a motion of an active muscle while it is lengthening under load. Example of eccentric are walking, running, and squatting. Next, potential health related benefits of resistance training. The resistance exercise training has profound effects on the musculoskeletal system, contributes to the maintenance of functional abilities, and prevents osteoporosis, lower back pain, and other disabilities, more such as insulin resistance, resting metabolic rate, glucose metabolism, blood pressure, body fat, and gastrointestinal transit time, which are associated with diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. All the benefits of resistance training are likely to be obtained in two 15 to 20-minute training sessions a week. Lastly, lastly, the basic characteristic of resistance training program for athletes are specificity, overload, progression, and period, periodization. Specificity is a type of changes the body makes in response to sports training. Overload is increasing strength requires lifting progressively heavier weight loads. Overload applies to duration and the volume of training as well. Progression is the most important component of successful period periodization is the usage is of fundamental importance to anyone looking to make systematic improvements in their training and involve the often forgotten variable of individualization.